Sean, man. How you doing this morning?
Hey, doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing very well, mainly because the Saints remain a shining beacon of football competency in what has at times felt like this year, especially here in Baton Rouge, looking at the LSU size, more of it, a lot of incompetence, right? I mean, the latest win, getting it done against the defending Super Bowl champs and Tom Brady with Trevor Siemian. I mean, we all know the story. It's just an unbelievable win. We all know how good Sean Payton's been in navigating the quarterback space. I mean, he should potentially be coach of the year. But let's just start with the most obvious question, which is looking forward to next week. And it's a bit debate that we just had. Who do you think, not who you would want to see start, who do you think Sean Payton will start next Sunday between Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill?
Oh, man, we got to start there.
Yeah.
I've been back and forth on this thought just the last 24, 48 hours. And, depending on the time of the day when you ask me, I could go either direction. I mean, I thought Taysom battled pretty well during camp. He won them games last year. He did okay in his first preseason game. Second one wasn't as good. And I think that if he could adopt the running ability, just the pocket presence that Jameis Winston has, nothing's there, take off and run. If Taysom could do that, I think he's an extremely viable player going forward. And I think that he could fill in and give you what you just had. He doesn't throw as good of a deep ball as Jameis Winston. I think he's a little bit better in the intermediate area of the field. So I think they could win games with him they have before, and I don't see why they couldn't again. And behind door number two, if you go Trevor Siemian, I think you saw things right away that they didn't have as part of this offense. It was kind of like, if Breeze had hung around for 4 more years and had been on like an extreme decline but wasn't injured, I think that's kind of like the type of offense you could run with Siemian. It was some short stuff. You got that quick game going a little bit. The deep ball wasn't great. He threw one that connected. But I think they could win games with either one of these guys. I guess my fear with Siemian would be is if someone knew they were playing him and they prepared for him, would he be able to do the same things he did this week? I think it would be a little bit worse. I think the fact that the Bucs were preparing the play an offense that was going to try to set up shots and go deep, and then they're pulled in and it's dink and dunk, pop passes. I think that made it a little bit advantageous for him. So as good as he looked, I'm not sure he'd look that good again. Did he earn a look? Does he get another chance? I mean, it'll be interesting. I could see him going either way with this. And the thing is I kind of expect him to win games no matter who the quarterback is. And that might be dumb, but we've seen it 2 years in a row. And it kind of feels like who the quarterback is almost doesn't matter to Sean Payton. He'll find a way to get it done with whoever he has. And maybe Simeon's just a lot better being in the system. I mean, maybe he's inherited the growth that every other wayward quarterback gets when they come here. So it'll be interesting moving forward.
I think one of the things people forget about, Nick, and we were talking about before you came on, in 2016, Trevor Siemian did throw for 3,400 yards. He had 18 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, and started 14 games that year. Started 10 games the next year there for Denver. I mean, this is someone that is a really good value to have as your number 3 quarterback. In that situation that you had on Sunday, you're able to go to a guy like Trevor Siemian who has 25 starts under his belt. That's just not typical for a number 3 in the NFL. So there is some proof that he can have success on an NFL field. And now with Sean Payton, like you just mentioned, that can only go up.
Yeah, I agree totally. And he's someone that Sean talked about a lot during the offseason. Everyone would bring up Taysom and Jameis, and he'd say, "Hey, look, we got this other guy that we think is a pretty good developmental prospect too." And I'm sure there has been some growth. And look, the one thing I would say for Trevor is that he came off the bench and he played better than I thought Teddy did when he came off the bench. I thought he played better than Jameis did when he came off the bench, and I just think there was probably something that he's wired a little bit better to handle those situations. And yeah, like you said, man, he was respectable in Denver, and then if he enhances a little bit, I mean, why not? I think the thing is that needs to happen today, though, is if you're going with either one of these guys, you got to find a way to trade for another wide receiver and make life easier on them. And I know they are interested. I know there's been some calls made. It's just a matter of like, does the right guy shake free? Can they make something happen? But I think they have to. And the degree of difficulty at that position is a little bit higher than it should be. Simeon made do with it. Jameis was making do with it. But I think, if you're going forward, you got to do something at this point. I mean, you're behind the 8 ball. degree of difficulty just got harder losing Winston. You don't have the same deep playability. I don't think you can hide as much. You got to find guys that can move the chains, sustain offense. And, I just think overall the whole approach on offense could be a little bit better for the defense. I mean, it was just too quick off the field too many times early in the season. And if you're going to grind out points, protect leads, and not rely on the offense to win you games, the offense at least needs to stay on the field long enough for the defense to catch its breath. And, getting another receiver can help with that. And I think both of these quarterbacks, the way they play, I think they're just built a little bit differently. And I don't know that they'll have the same upside as Winston, but I think there's a chance that they do a little bit better of a job staying on the field, having slower drives, sustained drives, and it's not as big play dependent. And that there could be some hidden upside to that.
I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but one of the things I think I miss most about Winston would be that you mentioned his pocket presence and running the ball and how effectively he's been doing it lately. Do you think that because like you alluded to, there's an obvious lack of weapons on the Saints offense. Does that put the thumb on the scale for Hill to remain in his role? Or does that argument reinforce, no, you want him at quarterback so he can be more of a threat every play?
I think they're going to go with whoever the best player is at that spot. And I don't know that that's going to be part of the decision. Maybe it tips the scales if you're at a coin flip. But, yeah, I think that there's merit to both approaches. I mean, if you have him as a weapon, you have him as a weapon and he's available. But, look, I mean, what's he have, two, 3 catches the whole season? It's not like he's lighting it up and you're losing Travis Kelce at tight end.
No, I think about it almost purely, and maybe that's why you just play him at quarterback. I think it almost purely about the value of the short yardage game. I mean, that's where he has, I think, been best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll be the deciding factor. I think that the value of quarterback is just so much higher than whatever he's giving you at tight end. You can get Garrett Griffin going and get some of that, pass catching ability. I just don't think it's that much different, and I don't think that's going to be a deciding factor. I think they just have to get the best guy at that spot, and it might just end up being Taysom. I mean, like I said, he competed through it, and this might just be like a big process of us trying to talk ourselves into something that we haven't seen, and maybe the unknown's a little bit more appealing. But Taysom can win games, and he showed that last year. It's just the upside, you know what it is at this point. So he's not as exciting. He's kind of, the ceiling is really that of a backup quarterback. And, maybe we're all just trying to figure out if Siemian has just a little bit more. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. And I think that kind of adds to some of the appeal of him. But I think, both these guys are probably pretty even. And I think it's just really a matter of who they think just isn't going to make turnovers, who's going to protect the ball better. Because really that's all it comes down to at this point. They're going to win enough games to get into the playoffs if they don't make mistakes on offense. And I think Sean Payton's just going to try to figure out who's going to be the guy that protects the ball the best, and that's who's going to end up getting the job.
And so we've probably already belabored the offensive side of the ball too much then because you're right. Look, you and Jake agreed last week that this defense is Super Bowl caliber. It certainly looked like it on Sunday. When you look at the defensive performance, what stood out the most to you from Sunday's game?
It's crazy because, I think they could still get a lot better. I think they're just kind of scratching the surface. And, the defensive line did a good enough job getting after Brady without blitzing, really. I think they blitzed like 7 or 8 times the whole game. It was pretty controlled, and they got pressure when they needed to. You're seeing Cam Jordan come to life. I'm not sure that, Davenport came in and changed the game, that much. But he was there, and he helped out. And he was around the ball a couple times in key plays. He's moving people, and I think he's going to be much more impactful moving forward. Davenport's he looks great. So I think that defensive line is going to continue to get better. I don't think the linebackers played their best game, but they were pretty solid. I don't think the cornerbacks played their best game. But it was a good performance against the Super Bowl champs, and it just reinforces everything that we're seeing. And I think that they're just going to keep getting better and better. And look, I think Dennis Allen is like a borderline genius at this point, and it feels like they're on borrowed time with him. I really can't believe that he's not a head coach somewhere at this point. I don't know what else he has to prove, but when you're the one guy in the league that can confuse Tom Brady consistently every single time you play him, I think that should just be all you need to write on a piece of paper is your resume, and it should get you a job somewhere. Because who else is doing that? But he does. He baits them into mistakes, and that doesn't happen in other games. And I think that's the most impressive thing about that performance.
That's a really good point.
Nick, what do you think about some of the defenders coming back from injury and suspension? Onyemata, Quan Alexander had a sack. How do you think they played in their first game?
Yeah, look, I think all those guys are looking. They're looking good. I mean, Quan looks like he's settling in. He's around the ball. He's impactful. I kind of like the split that they're getting with him and Pete Werner. It seems like they're both kind of in the spots where they can succeed. I think it was like the second play of the game, Werner had a tackle for a loss, and it kind of like felt like it impacted their run plan a little bit going forward. And Quan's in those spots where he can shine. And I think when he's in running situations too often, I think he gets exposed a little bit. And they're doing a good job of keeping him out of those spots. And I think, it kind of allows Werner to grow into his role, and eventually he can do a lot more and take on a lot more responsibility. Onyemata kind of just played that nose spot, and he's a people mover, and at some point he's going to shake free and get sacks. I think he had like 4 sacks last year from the nose tackle position, and with the way they play that 3-man line, I think they'll get more production out of that moving forward. So I think, the arrow's just up for this defense still, and they already, like we said, they look Super Bowl caliber, but I think it can continue to get better and better just as they settle in and figure out what they're doing with all these guys, how they all fit in, and get everybody up to speed. I think they're going to be a better unit, come Thanksgiving than they are right now.
Real quick, Nick, status of Mike Thomas.
Who knows?
Okay.
I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to play this week. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little while before we see him. There was some optimism. Optimism seems to be, going away. It feels like it's getting further away than closer when you talk to people. Maybe people are just, frustrated. I don't know, but
you think
I'm kind of preparing not to see him for a while.
Does Zion or Mike Thomas play first? Do you have an opinion?
What'd they say Zion is, like a month?
They said 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to redo scans to see if he's ready for 5-on-5. So that kind of does feel like a bit. That feels like 4 to 6 maybe total.
I'd say a coin flip. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect from Mike at this point. It's just the more you talk to people, the more pessimism is starting to come out. A few weeks ago, he saw a specialist. I think it was October 12th, and coming up that appointment, I think people were optimistic that he was going to be back soon, and he was on the sideline, so that's something. I don't know what it means, but it was at least good to see him in the flesh. But it just feels like over the last couple of weeks, starting to hear a little bit more negativity around that situation. So it'll be interesting to see.
Last one here, Nick. It was funny when Mark Ingram, when that news was announced, it was kind of a mixed bag, right? A lot of people very excited. A lot of people saying, "Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's not going to impact the game anyway." He had a pretty good impact here in game number 1. Do you expect this to continue to grow? Like, when it's all said and done, is Mark Ingram the Saints' all-time leading rusher at the end of this year?
Yeah, I think he will be. I mean, he's real close to it. At Houston, he looked good. I was surprised when I watched some of the stuff he was doing in Houston. It was surprising to see how much burst was there, because you kind of look at his age and you think the mileage is up on him, and then you look at the mileage and kind of realize that he didn't really play a whole lot his first couple of years. Last couple of years, the carries were down, so he still looks fresh for his age. And I thought he was impactful in this game. And honestly, there was a stretch there, I think through the third quarter, you're kind of wondering why he isn't doing more. He was off the field for a little bit, and I thought that he was playing well, and I thought they should have used him a little bit more. So my criticism on that game is that we didn't really see enough Mark Ingram, and I would have liked to see him cut into. I think Alvin had close to 20 carries. Like, I would have liked to see him cut into that a little bit too, a little bit more. And I think he will going forward. But I think it's a great addition. I think he is going to be a difference maker. It gave them another option in the short game, which is something that they're desperate for really at this point. And yeah, I thought he played well, and I think it's a great pickup for him.
Nick Underhill, he is the absolute best. New Orleans football is popping off right now. I mean, they have film breakdowns, they have exclusive podcasts, they have analysis specifically about the quarterback situation. I mean, it is the best. Go check it out. Sign up today, New Orleans football. I'm a proud subscriber. Nick, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Nick_Underhill on Twitter. That is kind of a depressing question. That's kind of funny. Who plays first, Mike Thomas or Zion?
Yeah, it is.
I
very
think it's
depressing.
Thomas. I think it's Thomas, but I feel way less good about that after what Nick just said. You hate hearing that pessimistic swell because that means that it's not going very well in the building.
A lot of truth.
Boy.
A lot of truth what you said there.
What's going on with Slant Boy? I don't know. Still the funniest nickname. That and Blitz Boy or Jamal Adams. I don't know.
And everybody that calls him that name
I don't know why
wishes
it's so
they had their
funny.
salaries.
Ain't that the truth, man?
Every single person.
I mean, I get insulted all the time, and I don't get paid nearly as well. That'd be
No,
awesome
I know.
if
If I'm gonna get a nickname like that, like
So you can
pay
never
me.
insult anybody richer than you? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, you can.
You can,
Yeah,
but
you absolutely can.
they're paid off of running slants better than anybody else.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
blitzing
get
better
what
than anybody
Jake's.
else.
Yeah, I get what Jake's saying.
Gotcha,
Right,
gotcha.
what we are clowning them for is the same thing that has led them to all the success in their life.
Yeah.
Yes.
but
We miss the slants very much.
But that said, Slant Boy and Blitz Boy are still just very funny.
Oh,
sounding
those dumb.
nicknames.
Yes, yes.
What would you have been? Power Boy, 1 Yard Boy? I don't know. We'll have to workshop it during the break.
Yard boy.
I don't think 1 Yard Boy plays. I don't think 1 Yard Boy plays. That's a horrible nickname. Nobody wants to be 1 Yard Boy, I don't think. All right, when we get back here, let's go ahead and get into Pole Assassin and the curious case of Monkeygate 2021. Keep it locked right here on Off the Bench.